agree, baby, that third seat was open. I was just like, hey, I'm gonna keep shooting my shot. You never know what'll happen.
Jess got to be looking at this and like, damn, she is really good. If she's honest with herself, come on now. Like, you know what? This girl is better for the job. Well, the people in the comments are stepping Jess Not Hilarious down.
Has The Breakfast Club replaced Jess Hillarious? That's what many people are thinking after Loren LaRosa has stepped in and seems to be doing a far better job than Jess. Over the last few years, The Breakfast Club had to fill in the spot of Angela Yee, who was one of the founding members of the longest running show in urban media. Portia Williams, Mandy, Weezy, and many more were auditioned for the role, but the final choice was the charismatic, funny, and opinionated Jess Hillarious. Well, after a year she would become pregnant and the Breakfast Club would need to replace their third chair yet again, and opted to go with Loren LaRosa. Now, Loren was one of those who auditioned for the role initially, and one might think that her being the first shuffled in could signal that she might have been one of the candidates seriously considered for the role. Could it be that the reason Jess Hillarious wasn't onboarded so quickly was because the iHeart bigwigs were debating if they wanted Jess or Loren?
We spent all last year rotating guest co-hosts, and I thought we was rotating guest co-hosts before we let God decide who was supposed to be in here. Now it's 2024. What happened? Yeah, I said it's gonna take at least a year. Because Angela Yee is what I always say, she's irreplaceable. You know what I mean? So I just don't know what the hell's going on. I'm not even joking with you. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Where's our third host?
That is a great question. I would really like to know the answer to that. I mean, I just came from downstairs. It was just me and Envy doing the show again.
Right.
Everybody saw us rotating guest hosts, last year.
Right.
And we said we was gonna start 2024 off with a new host, and that hasn't happened yet.
Who knows? Unlike Jess, Loren's roots are firmly implanted in media. A graduate of the historically black institution, Delaware State University, Loren holds a bachelor's in marketing and has extensive experience in media, where she was a senior news producer at TMZ.
That's what
really?
it is.
Is it racial?
100%. You cannot talk about this and not talk about race. You have Julius Jones, who was a 17-year-old boy who literally barely
I understand.
I don't think this is. It's very much racial, Harvey. You don't understand that.
And was even a scriptwriter at ESPN for their Anscape platform.
Now, first up on our list, when Anna Wintour said, if you can't be better than your competition, dress better.
That was designed to create, highlight, and uplift diverse stories of the black identity. When it comes to journalistic credentials, Jess Hillarious simply cannot compare. On top of this, many fans have started to note that Loren has a bigger range of experience to pull from when discussing political issues, and has a personality that accentuates the strengths of Charlamagne and DJ Envy's dominant on-air personas. During interviews, she's well-researched and leaves the comedic flair up to Charlamagne and DJ Envy, instead choosing to pick her spots. On top of this, fans of The Breakfast Club, whether it be Twitter or their own YouTube comment section, are stating that they prefer Loren over Jess. In all fairness to Jess, she is opinionated, and many people often find the opinionated personalities more divisive. Still, Jess is just not a journalist. She is a personality on a show that features Charlamagne and Envy, who themselves are A-mics. What stands out about Jess's maternity leave is that she continues to do her stand-up while not being on The Breakfast Club. I say this with no malice, as when I was preparing this video, I spoke to fans of The Breakfast Club, and one of their biggest pet peeves of Jess was that she struggles to read the transcripts on the show, meaning that when she has to read something or a script for the show, she bumbles and fumbles. Now, this by no means indicates that Jess isn't smart, as I myself often have a tough time reading text, but it is definitely not something Loren struggles with. You have to be able to execute copy flawlessly when you're on the radio. And if Jess Hillarious' greatest strength is that she's a personality, isn't she kind of clashing with DJ Envy and Charlamagne? Not personally, but just by their strengths. My guess is the audience calling for Loren will only get bigger if Jess ever returns. And there are other factors that might lead to Jess leaving the Breakfast Club. One is that Jess is popping and she needs her own show. Two, a morning show is not the easiest swing for a burgeoning creator like Jess. Jess is a comedian, and that might be clashing with the prospects she is interested in pursuing: acting, stand-up, and other types of content. I also noticed that the ratings of the Breakfast Club are getting better in New York, at least. At the start of June 2024, Power 105, the Breakfast Club's flagship show in New York City, was losing to its competitor, Hot 97, in the ratings, with a 2.2 rating versus a 2.0. However, as of last September's rating, that has flipped. The writing is on the wall, and if Jess Hillarious does return, iHeart executives and Charlemagne, along with DJ Envy, will be choosing to ignore what everyone sees and hears. But let me know what you think, listeners. Do you feel like Loren LaRosa needs to be the permanent replacement for Jess Hillarious? Also, is this a shiny toy effect? As whenever there's a new host, there is a rush to say this one is better than the previous one. But if I were to give my own opinion, I don't think that's the case. Loren has extensive background in journalism, and Jess does not. I think Jess wanted to get the role initially, but I even think deep down in parts that she doesn't want to admit, she knows she is not the best fit. Not necessarily because she's inadequate, but because she needs to be pursuing her other ambitions in the fields that I think she cares more about than morning radio. Alright, y'all, this is the end of my video. We will be monitoring this because this would be a big deal in broadcasting, especially for urban media. This Breakfast Club remains the gold standard in broadcasting, and the idea that it even still exists after a decade of being on top is insane. You got to give it to the show, even though a lot of people feel like the Breakfast Club isn't what it was because Charlemagne has pivoted to a more PC personality. It's still up there. It's still one that people check out, and it makes news even with the proliferation of podcasts like the Joe Budden podcast, $1 Million Worth of Game and Drink Champs. It's a crowded market, but they still remain top dog. All right, y'all. Please remember, tap in with me on Twitter, The Stop TV. Tap in with me on Instagram, The Stop TV. We got a lot of content coming. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.